As this body language might suggest, Stage 17's grid start didn't exactly set things on fire, but props to Lotto NL Jumbo's Primo Roglic for starting with both feet clipped in, which can be against the rules sometimes, and Age Desert's Romain Bardet for winning the cyclocross clip-in contest. The odd format did seem to quicken the formation of an early break. Would-be aggressors had to work their way through the group, raising the effort bar and reducing the number of bodies, keeping both field and attackers in touch. The grid also put a core group of GC riders with no interest in an early aggressive start into a perfect tempo-setting position. This isn't to say the pace was easy, just ask Groupama FDJ's Arnaud Demar, but the just 65k day with 3 mountain passes did seem to reward riders willing to put their head down and go. That's how Astana's Tanel Kengert put himself clear solo, and how KOM leader Julian Alaphilippe of Quickstep bridged across to the group behind Kengert a few K later. Alaphilippe charged onward, highlighting how, despite race graphics showing neat little groups, riders were sprawled all over the course through nearly the entirety of the day. This reflected the tactics as well. Sky focused solely on controlling the bunch, riders like Kengert and Alaphilippe taking their own chances, while others like Movistar's Alejandro Valverde and Sunweb's Simon Geschke placed themselves up the road to support teammates currently behind them later in the race. As Kengert and then the Alaphilippe group crested the first climb, Movistar's Nairo Quintana provided some levity for viewers. Teammate Andre Amador required spectator assistance to work a quick release, while a mechanic push-starting Quintana after a second wheel change moments later nearly got run over, with some irony, by the race doctor. The following descent was open and pedalable. Alaphilippe recaptured Kengert, while 3 minutes down the road the pack remained more or less in one piece behind Sky, despite the occasional inconsiderate bottle toss. But at 35k to go, Age Desert decided to make its short-handed presence felt, hewing the group down to a fraction of its former size and giving Bora Hansgrohe's points leader Peter Sagan the rare opportunity to flex some climbing chops. A long pull from young rider GC leader Pierre Latour even briefly opened gaps in front of Skyrider's wheels. Movistar pulled Marc Soler back to the GC group to keep the tempo high and limited Alaphilippe's gap at the second KOM to just over 2 minutes, though admittedly Soler's group was still full of Skyriders. Despite making what was, without a doubt, one of the most laughably bad roundabout directional decisions in the history of cycling, Kengert's tempo in the final climb still convinced Alaphilippe that he'd had enough. As the peloton came through, we again saw an unusual SkyTrain split, with Jonathan Castroviejo alone following Soler's pace. The recapture at 14k to go provided a launch point for UAE Emirates' Dan Martin and Quintana, who, much to the delight of these Colombian fans, opened a small gap on his companion moments later. As Quintana tore through the shards of various breakaway groups, Michelton Scott's Adam Yates briefly latched on, apparently just to catch Alaphilippe so the two could confirm no hard feelings following Yates' crash and Alaphilippe's resulting win the previous day. Roglic led the GC group past this good sportsmanship duo moments later, still 13k out. A long way, even with a fresh tailwind, and the fact that Sky's Chris Froome marked him at this unlikely distance may have been an indicator of things to come. Froome's presence did force Sunweb's Tom Dumoulin to do the work of bringing them back, even with Sky's substantial numerical advantage, though the effort also blew Michal Kwiatkowski and left Wout Poels struggling. The catch a K or so later touched off a snack session that eventually saw Poels stagger his way back to the front of the group. Even with Quintana now being paced by Valverde, his minutes-long deficit on GC was no threat to Sky, and with Bardet suffering in Spittlecam slow-mo while Dumoulin and Roglic could bank on the final time trial, the group fell into an uneasy equilibrium. Valverde popped at 10k to go, leaving Quintana, and just behind Martin, to continue closing on Kengert, which Quintana and a not particularly helpful Rafael Majka of Bora Hansgrohe did at 8.5k to go. 2k later, Quintana dropped the former KOM champ, while a minute down the road, his teammate Valverde came back to the GC group to help team leader Mikel Landa as Bardet finally cracked, leaving us with the unusual sight of Froome hanging uncomfortably at the back of the group. At 4.8k to go, a Lotto NL attack in the form of Steven Kruijswijk finally dispatched Poels and Valverde and made Sky's Egan Bernal work for the recapture and continued pacemaking, despite his teams being atypically outnumbered in this selection. As the group rolled inside 3k to go, the time trialists began to feel confident. Roglic tested another attack, race leader Geraint Thomas responded immediately, Dumoulin as well, but as Bernal came around to reset tempo, the gap to Froome was obvious. An attack by Dumoulin under the 2K banner finally split the group up for good, as the Sunweb rider maybe talked a little more work out of Roglic, and then possibly Thomas as the Lotto NL rider opened a gap, though he still did have to use his usual slow grind response to recapture the move under the 1K banner. Ahead, Quintana took the stage, just 28 seconds ahead of Martin, which is remarkable given that the latter rode the final 14 kilometers effectively solo. A big Thomas acceleration inside the final K gapped Roglic and Dumoulin and scored the race leader 4 third-place bonus seconds, which, in addition to his gap on the line, extended his lead over the now second-place Dumoulin to just shy of 2 minutes. I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that's how the race was won.